Hey guys, today I wanted to go over a whole house water filtration system that I installed a couple years ago. It was actually before I was active on YouTube, so I apologize. You're not going to get an installation video, but I'll kind of go over what I did with this system, some of the things I learned, some of the things I would do differently, and I'll also be changing the filters. I have new filters on the way. So what you see in front of you, those three long cylindrical sections are three filters in series. They are Pentek Big Blue. I think the 20-inch series. I'll put links in the description. And water flows underground from over by that box there, all the way underground, down here, up that way. And you see there's a pressure gauge on the left, down there, and a pressure gauge on the right, down there. And I use those to measure the pressure drop across the filters. And you can see also I have a couple of ball valves that I can use to isolate the system. So I have a ball valve right there, a big ball valve right there just above the ground, and another ball valve right at the end there. So what you can do is I can shut that ball valve there, that ball valve there, and open that ball valve and have water run to the house. So I don't have to shut the water off to the house, but completely isolate the filter system. So if there's something mechanically wrong and I don't want to kill water to my entire house, I just shut the ball valves on either side of the filter, and then no water flows through the filter, but I could still have water onto the house. Now the one on the right's a little crooked. Nothing I could have done about that. The threads in the housing were actually a little bit crooked on that one on the right. Not thrilled about it, but it is what it is. It's functional. Now, a couple things I would do differently. So you notice the gauges that I installed for the pressure drop. They're cheapy gauges. I don't even know if they have a brand name on them. I'd probably go with a brand name gauge like a Winters or a, I don't know, there's a bunch of different gauge manufacturers out there. They've held up pretty well, but as you can probably tell looking at them, if I had to replace them, I'd be cutting pipe or unsoldering pipe. So rather than having a gauge where the stem comes out the bottom, as you see here, I would have a gauge where the stem comes out the back, right? And just this way you can just unscrew the gauge. Here you can't unscrew that gauge, it's there permanently. That's one thing I'd do differently. Another thing I would do differently is notice the number of ball valves I have. I have 3 ball valves that control flow of water from the city into the house. So water actually enters the house right behind that hose bib right there. You can't really see the fitting, but if you look carefully, you'll see a T fitting there. It goes into the house right there. If I need to shut the water off to the house, I have to shut 2 ball valves. So I could shut that one down there, and for example, that one right there, and leave that one open. That would leave the filters pressurized. But yeah, it's always going to be 2. I don't know, I don't recall off the top of my head if it's a code requirement or what, but I'd like to just have 1 just for convenience. Here it's 2. Not a huge deal, but it is what it is. I don't think I mentioned also, I installed unions in the filters. 1 right there, right about, let's see if I can, right, oh, that's not going to work. Maybe there, there's a union there. Sorry, it's out of focus. And another union right there. So again, I can shut off the ball valves on either side of the filters, undo those unions, and the whole filter assembly will bolt off the wall. Again, ease of service. I also use Type L copper coming out of the ground. It's a little bit thicker. You know, I come back here with a weed whacker. I don't want to risk damaging or whatever the copper, so it's a little bit more expensive, but in the end, I think it's worth it. So that's kind of an overview of the filter system. I changed these filters, I don't know, maybe, I last changed them 2 years ago, I know that, but prior to that, I think I would change them about every year, and I usually change it based upon water pressure in the house. Pentair claims you should change them every 6 months though, but I think that's a bit excessive, at least where my water is here. So left to right, this filter right here, and you can put different filters depending upon what your personal water is like. The filter on the left, that's a sediment filter. And I'll show you the filters. They're supposed to be here later today. I'll show you the exact filters and the part numbers. So that one's a sediment filter. The middle filter is a chlorine reduction filter. We have high chlorine in South Florida in our city water. And the filter on the right is a 0.5 micron microbial filter. So I found that those 3 filters give pretty good performance. The water tastes just like bottled water. You don't get any of that chlorine smell or taste. It's actually pretty darn good. So yeah, that's it. Highly recommend the system. I think all the materials, I paid maybe $200 for this. Again, this is a while ago. maybe 2015, 2016. The system's been flawless though. So we'll pick it up when the filters get here and we'll do a filter change. Okay, a couple hours and one COVID vaccine later, all the parts have arrived. On the left, from left to right, are how the filters will be installed left to right. This one is a DGD 2501-20, and that's that kind of that sediment filter that I was talking about. Here's our carbon filter. That's an RFC 20 BB. And the last one is the Flow Plus 20 BB. I think the one on the left is about maybe 20 bucks or so. The one in the middle is about maybe 60 if I recall, and the one on the right is the most expensive at about 80. Don't hold me to that, I could be wrong. I'll give you links to everything in the description in case you guys need it. You can also buy this this filter cartridge removal tool. That'll let you spin open the housing a lot easier rather than gripping it with your hands and trying to muscle it. This is kind of, you know, it gives you a little leverage. And every time I change the cartridges, the filter cartridges, I also put new O-rings in there too, so I have those ready to go. So let's get these outside, get the housings open, and we'll start changing the filters. Okay, the first step is to turn the water off to the filters. Okay, so the filters have been isolated. I turn the water back onto the house. Now we're going to relieve the pressure by pressing these buttons here. Okay, so now the housings in theory have no pressure in them. So let's open them up. Sliding the tool over, and you just turn it like that. So let's see what these things look like after 2 years. Oh, wow. Okay, so you saw what that looked like. That was that white filter on the left. Pretty nasty, huh? And the O-rings get kind of nasty too. 2 years. Maybe I should change them more often, huh? So that's the left housing. Let's get the next one. Wash my hands. Get this black stuff off so I don't stain anything. Okay, I'm going to line the filters up left to right just so you guys can see. And this is our carbon filter that reduces chlorine. Whoa, jeez. That one's a little heavy. Also pretty nasty. And finally, our third filter, which is our 1/2 micron microbial. Let's see if I can't make a mess. So I'm holding the filter housing from the bottom while I'm unscrewing it. Oh, wow. Okay. Here's the final one. Oh, there we go. That one's not going to stand up straight. Oh, man. Forgot how heavy these guys were. Let's maybe lean them back like that. There we go. All right. Let's get our new filters. I'm going to spray out the inside of these housings with the garden water, or sorry, garden hose, just to clean out anything that might be in there, and then we'll start reinstalling. Once again, just for illustrative purposes, I have each filter side by side. Old on the left, new on the right. Old, new, old, new, old, new. And you can see a pretty dramatic difference, especially here and here, between the old and the new filter. So again, 2 years. I don't know how many thousands of gallons. I'll have to look at the water bill, but it's probably pretty considerable. So I'm guessing all that brown stuff is probably rust or iron in the water. Not 100% sure. We zoom in on the filter on the left, far left. You can see there are some particulates in there. Let me get you guys a little bit closer. I'm not sure if that's coming across in the camera, but there's a lot of particulates in here, like sand and debris. So that's all stuff that's not in our drinking water. So I'm very happy with this filter system. Works very well. All right, let's get the new filters installed. All right, so I got the leftmost housing ready. And obviously the order of these filters does matter. You don't want to put your expensive 1/2 micron filter first in the line, clogged up and nothing flat. And what I do is I drop the O-ring. Well, actually I put a little bit of this PTFE, like this kind of plumber's lubricant, in the housing. Hopefully you guys can see that. Pardon the mic wire. Just put a little bit of this goo in the groove here. That'll help keep the O-ring in place. I found if you don't replace the O-rings, the old ones kind of don't want to go back in. They swell almost instantly when you take them out. So let's get our first filter. And I don't break the seal on these until the last possible second, because this is your drinking water. Take the label out. So I never really even touch the filter unless I can avoid it. Okay, so the filter's in. Got a new O-ring, time to spin it on. Okay. We'll tighten it up with the wrench in a minute. That's the first one. Let's do the second one. Get a little bit of this grease. You could pick this stuff up from a, you know what, let me clean this one a little bit better. Hang on, still a bit of grit in that O-ring. Okay, same as routine as before. Pull a bit of grease in that groove. You could get this grease from a hardware store. You can get it, I think, from a pool supply store. You can probably buy it online too. Okay, let's put our O-ring in. I've always used aftermarket O-rings for these too. I don't know if you just can't find the genuine Pentair ones, or if they were crazy expensive. I honestly don't remember. Again, trying never to touch the filter if we can avoid it, or touch it as little as possible. And we put this one in position too. And just screw it in. Come on. There we go. And now finally the last one. Let me do a little bit better job cleaning this one out too. Sorry guys, the AC's kicked on. A little noisy. Alright, let's snug them down with the filter wrench. They don't have to be too tight. Alright, now let's give them some water pressure and see if they leak. Hopefully they don't. Let the air out. Okay, let Let all the air out. Now we make sure we don't see any drips. Still some air. Not sure how necessary this step really is. That should be it, guys. Just make sure you don't have any leaks when you're all done. Then I would just run a couple gallons of water through your system just to purge any contaminants that may have been in the cans when you pull them off or when you hose them out. And there may also be some fines that come out of the filter, especially the carbon filters, the first couple gallons you run through there. Anyway, hope you guys thought this video was helpful. And if you're looking for a whole house water filtration system, the Pentair Pentek Big Blue series is awesome. I absolutely love it. I'll give you links in the description for all the equipment. Thanks, guys. Stay safe. Please subscribe.